And you are gonna go right here. And you're gonna stay nice and safe in that chest. Well, I just got back from a nice adventure with my donkey. And I have a new donkey now. So I've been breeding these guys, and look at them. If you look at the top left, this one's 14.3. That's a pretty fast donkey there. I'm actually gonna need this netherrack. So I've been breeding these guys, and I went on a little adventure. Oh, this one's 14.5. I think 14.7 is the fastest it can go. But I went on a little adventure. They go so fast. Watch this. I'm not riding him. Watch when he moves. They just go so fast, even passively. It's crazy. But we went on a little adventure, and I got some flowers. I got some, let's see, these guys here. And then I got some firefly flowers. Firefly flowers. That's kind of a mouthful. But look at this. It makes the environment just feel so alive. So we have the falling leaves. We have the fireflies. I think I want to add a little bit of color here as well because it's a little bland. And I know we're in the desert, but I don't think that means we need to just be ugly. So let's add a little bit of color. And I'm not sure, but is that my computer or do these things make firefly sounds? Yeah, these make firefly sounds. Whoa. Wait, hold on. Let me check. If I turn, yeah. Whoa. That's crazy. I knew they did the particles. I had no idea they made the sound too. Let's add some color around here. Can you bone meal these? Ah, man. This is the only one I have. What about these? Okay, no, you can't. Man, that's sad. Can you only bone meal the big ones? I guess so. Anyways, I'm just going to put a few of these red flowers. Maybe a few white flowers. So now when I'm leaving on my donkey, I get this nice color here. So now it's not so bland. I get some color in my area. At nighttime, I get the fireflies. And I really like this. I like the color. I like just how alive and natural this feels. It's like my little oasis in the desert. I did have 2 turtles. I don't know where the other one went. But this is what I built for today. And I had a time lapse and I was going to show you guys the build. But honestly, the time lapse, just with a build like this, it didn't quite fit. So I scrapped the time lapse, but it is a bamboo farm. And I just recently posted a video on different bamboo farms. This actually isn't the entire farm. So this is just for the aesthetics where you can see the bamboo getting harvested. But if you go down my little hatch down here, I have the entire farm here as well. So I have an Etho Hopper clock going right here and it has 40 items in it. And whenever that clock goes off, it activates all of these pistons, which smashes the top of these bamboo. So it just kind of smashes them in the face. But yeah, underneath I have this rail and it's collecting all the bamboo. And I have this instant hopper minecart unloader, the same thing that I have on my wheat farm over there. All the items go out into a water stream and then go up here, which then feeds a hopper right here, which feeds this auto crafter. And so when it gets full, it'll craft a piece of bamboo. And there's a water stream behind here, which goes, you can see it. Oh, it looks like some of it's stuck on the stair there. Oh, I need to fix that. But they all go into these chests and barrels. So I have a nice steady supply of bamboo. And if I remember correctly, there's 96 tiles of bamboo on this alone. I don't remember how many are down below, but I think it's about double. Let's just say 192 in total. I can't do the math on my head, but I'm going to show on the screen how much this produces per hour because I believe every tile produces almost exactly 17 bamboo per hour. Whatever 192 times 17 is, that's how much bamboo block this produces. And I have it connected to this smelter. It's not a super smelter. It's more of a mediocre smelter because I only have 16 furnaces up here. So I can go up this little hatch here or down this little hatch and show you the insides of this smelter. So I have a water elevator that the minecart with the items I want to smelt goes through. It runs all around these hoppers. So these hoppers feed whatever I'm smelting. These hoppers are the supply. So I have debris in here, slag in here, and then dross. So slag and dross are some smelting terms for the leftover metals that you have when you smelt. And so what I did is I didn't want all these hoppers to fill up with bamboo plank. That would take too long to start this system. So what I did is I put fillers in here. So that way the bamboo planks don't have to fill up the entire hopper. I really just need one slot of bamboo planks. So the hoppers underneath this composter, they start under this barrel and they come down and they zigzag and then they zigzag and then they zigzag to our final hopper here. If I were to remove bamboo planks from here, all the items would flow through these hoppers to fill up this hopper back with bamboo planks. And then they pull from my supply. So I went ahead and I ran the bamboo farm for a while and I filled all these up with bamboo planks. So I have a good supply for a long time. I don't know how long this will last me, but it should last me a good while. You can see the flow of bamboo all go down these hoppers and these pots, and they go into the same auto crafter as the farm below. So what happens is this minecart hopper flows up the water elevator. It has the supply that I'm smelting, so whether it's cobblestone or right now I'm doing some netherrack, it'll run around all these hoppers which feed the furnaces directly under it. The hopper minecart gets right here. If I still have items to put into the furnaces, then it will power this and it will restart the cycle. If the hopper minecart is empty, then there's no signal that goes through and the hopper minecart will just flow and fall down right down there. And when the hopper minecart falls down here, it slowly moves under this chest, which is this same chest here. You can see that I actually have a hopper minecart here with a piston preventing it from moving. And so whenever there's enough items in this hopper minecart, the comparator will turn off this redstone torch, which deactivates this piston, and it flows through. So let me show you guys this. I think it picks up about 32. Okay, so it picked up 34 items in one go through, which that's nice. So then it'll go, and once this is done, they all go into this output barrel here. So it's not a crazy fast farm, but again, I'm trying to balance space efficiency and the aesthetics of this area more so than just mass output. So I think 16 furnaces in this building, as well as a nice bamboo farm, I think it's worth it. We'll probably eventually build another super smelter that's actually a super smelter, but for the time being, this works pretty well. It smelts at 16 furnace speed, which is pretty good. Can you not make deep slate bricks? Am I missing something here? How do you make deep slate bricks? Oh, I need cobbled deep slate. And then with the cobbled deep slate, I make deep slate. Oh, this needs to all be cobbled. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I need to make a bunch of deep slate bricks. And I think if I smelt these, I get cracked deep slate. So this should run a couple times. Okay, it refills. And so the water stream also makes it go a little slower, so it lets it refill more the second run through. Runs through. Does another run through. Third run through. So we should be getting some in the output already. Ah, beautiful. Yes, it does create cracked deep slate. Awesome. And it's a steady stream. So great. Yeah, there's times where it does a slight delay, but it's just about a steady stream, which is super convenient. So 16 furnaces is just enough to get a steady stream. And you might be wondering, why do I need cracked deep slate bricks and nether bricks? Well, let me show you this here. Look at this color palette. So it looks pretty wonky having these purplish tints here. But if you put a little bit of water, oh, that's a lot of water. So if you put water in front of these bricks, you kind of get this blue blending in with this darker black. So it almost darkens it up a little bit. And I think we might be able to transition into purple fairly decent, but you're not going to notice it up close because this is going to be the base of the pillars for this bridge. Because right now it's extremely bland. If you look at it from a distance, you don't really notice the purple too much. It's kind of hard to show it here, but I think once I have it built and you look at the bridge from a distance, you'll get to see the vision that I have. So we're going to put those dark colors, that deep slate, underwater. And so you'll have that blue mixing in with the dark deep slate, and then that'll go into the purple nether brick and cherry wood, but just a little sliver of it, not much. But that dark transition will again give this indication that this stone is wet as the river is flowing through, and will transition slowly into a darker brown into this nice bright sandstone. And I'll probably put in some variation of sandstone in here, maybe some sandstone walls and fences to give it some indentions and some texture. And this is actually based on a real Roman bridge that's built in Alcantara, Spain. So I wanted to bring in some realism and make the architecture of my world based on real architecture. You can see the Iberian influence of the squared off buildings on either end of the bridge, with the windows having that iconic Iberian rounded off tops, which can sometimes resemble a more Persian architecture or Arabic architecture, but is iconic for the southern Spanish region. So I mixed the original Alcantara architecture with some of the more iconic Spanish designs to give this a fuller and more of my interpretation of a Spanish bridge. But I really liked this Iberian bridge theme, and I just like how it goes with the desert over here and kind of blends in with our desert island. So I like this, but let's pretty this up. Let's texture this. I want to get a before and after from the same spot. So let's put a boat right here. And so this is the before, and this is after. And bear with me, this looks pretty bad from this angle. As I was building this, I realized that where I put the boat is on like the dark side of the bridge. So let me go to a better angle. This is much better. You can see the subtle shadows that I have here. So I made it to where I put the sun kind of coming from this back angle. So if you can imagine the sun hitting it from almost the angle that I'm standing here. But if I were thousands of blocks up, then the sun would hit this side of the bridge and give it a lot of light, but then kind of cast this shadow towards the back and at an angle. You're seeing a lot of bright sandstone here, but the angle that I had the boat earlier was seeing hardly any sandstone and just a ton of shadows. So when you hit it from this angle, you see the shadows really nice, and you're far enough back to where it's not super abrupt with these color changes. The closer you get, the more you see the individual blocks, but the further back you are, the more you just see the color gradient coming together. And then if I were to come on this angle, you can kind of see the shadow a little bit more from this side, and again it's more subtle because you're further back. So my hope is that this bridge will really stand out when you're further back, which if our main area is going to be over here, I think it'll work out nice because we're not going to be right on the bridge most of the time. See, look at that, look at the subtle shadows. It looks like when you don't zoom in, it doesn't really look like you can see the individual blocks. It just looks like this bridge is casting a shadow. Like that turned out really nice. Let me set my donkey right here and then go to F1. Look at that. Like you can see the subtle shadows. That's pretty nice from this angle and being this far back. But I want to show you something that I did at the... That's weird. I want to show you what I did at the base of this bridge. So if I come back to the bridge and go all the way to the bottom, does your heart ever drop when you jump in Minecraft? Like when you look off a cliff in real life or look down a tall building and your heart just kind of sinks? Does that ever happen when you jump in Minecraft? Because that happens to me, and that kind of just happened there. But yeah, you can see this mess that I have here. And look what I am using. So I think the transition from this dark deep slate into the netherrack brick actually worked out really nice, especially when you're further away. But then transitioning from netherrack brick to mud to get this sandstone into tan, or tan into sandstone, I should say, was quite difficult. It was pretty abrupt. You can kind of see it here. Let me stop bouncing. So that's a little more abrupt, but ancient debris perfectly, at least I think, perfectly transitions between this purple color to this light tan. And the texture even matches the mud bricks slightly, where it's a transition texture between this soft cherry wood to the mud bricks. And then we go into a little bit of deep slate into the mud, and then oak, birch, and then sandstone. But I've never seen anybody use ancient debris in their texture gradient, and I found out why. Because I died twice and I lost both of my good pickaxes. This pickaxe here is just an efficiency 5 pickaxe, so I can mine the sandstone. I don't have my fortune or silk touch because I died twice getting this ancient debris. I think it turned out pretty nice, and we're not quite done yet, because you might be thinking that this purple sticks out of the water way too much, and I would agree. I 100% agree. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a bridge with a support that goes all the way down into the water itself. We have a lot of creeks where we are, or at least one nice creek, and we'll go canoeing a lot. When the support pillar from the highway reaches the creek, what happens is the water runs into the edge of the pillar and starts to kind of get pushed up. So as the momentum hits this, it doesn't have anything to do but to go up. So you kind of get this effect. But with a big bridge like this, if I were to put some blue glass here so you don't really see it too much, and I were to place the water here, and maybe put a little bit more, you kind of get this effect of the river hitting this and getting pushed up as all the momentum is running into this. And I think if we spread this out a little more, it'll sell it a little better, because it's kind of abrupt push up right now. But something like this, let me go to sleep and look at this in the daylight. Yeah, whenever you get a little bit higher up, it doesn't look that bad. I know when we're right beside it, it looked a little bulgy, but this doesn't look terrible. I think if I have it wrap around a little bit more, it'll really sell it. And maybe I do bring it back in just a tad bit. I think this extends out a little bit too much, but this is something that I think I can work with, and I haven't seen anybody try this, so I think this adds a little bit of realism into here, and it sells why these are this dark purple. If I don't put the water here, you might be wondering, why are these corners purple and darker than the rest? You might understand why the bottom is darker and it gets lighter as it goes up, because it might be wet at the bottom. But I want to sell that as the water is moving through this river, it kind of hits this curve and swings back around. It's going to hit this corner and going to hit this corner, where this corner isn't getting much of the momentum, so it's not as dark. So if we put the water here and make this the high point, it'll really sell why this is more purple and why it's getting more wet and having some algae and maybe just some dark mud. But yeah, I really like just this subtle life that this brings to the bridge. So I'm going to play with this a little bit, and I think I'm going to call it quits for this bridge, because after harvesting all this wood, and particularly after harvesting this ancient debris, I am ready to call it quits. That was a pain. Alrighty, so I'm not going to linger on this too long because I've already been over here for a while, but this is the final result. I had it wrap around just a little bit on either side, and then I also put it up right here. You can't notice the glass really at all, so I like how the glass is well hidden, and it helps to spread out the water. And on top of the bridge, it blends in pretty nice. It doesn't look as tall and it doesn't look as bulgy, so I think I'm going to keep it, but I don't want to spend too much time here. Let's go ahead and go to the other bridge way over there. And now it's time to texture this puppy right here. And this one I think should be a lot simpler, because it's really just one main archway and two little small archways, so a lot less texturing. I think I again want to keep the sun somewhere in this direction, so you would see light come down right here, but then it gets darker as it moves to this outer edge. We would have some refraction of the lighting, so along the top it would still be pretty light, but then once you get to this bottom corner, it should darken up. I think something like this, I really just pulled some blocks together, so I'm not entirely sure if this is what I'm going to do, but maybe something like that. I want to make this maybe the primary building block, but it kind of looks odd being this brick stone when everything else is just this muted texture. So I may leave this out and just stick with something like that. And so the very bright areas are going to be this andesite, and then you have this tough cobblestone deep slate, or I'm sorry, deep slate, and then basalt. Maybe something like that. We'll see. But I'll need to keep in mind that whatever blocks I use on the top need to be able to be stairs. And an issue that I ran into this bridge is that there were areas where the walls that I used in these corners needed to be darker, but there's not any darker walls. All you have is mud, granite, and then maybe like bricks or something. None of those really meshed well with the color palette. So I just kind of stuck with sandstone walls. I might change these to mud, but the texture of the mud blocks just does not mesh well. So I'll try to keep that in mind when I'm building this, that I want to use a building material that I can easily make stairs out of. I'm going to go ahead and just update this. I'm not going to do the boat. Oh, I can do the boat thing. Let's do this. Here is a before. And here is an after. But again, I put us on the backside of the bridge, and I didn't think about it until after the fact. But here's a better angle, and it's actually right in front of Ashton's place over here. And so you can see the dark shadow down at the base, and you can see the wandering villager over there in the dark shadow under these archways. This was all andesite to indicate that the sun is shining on it, and so it's really bright, but it just looked kind of hard on the eyes having it one solid block. So I put stone there, and I think it adds a little bit of color variation, but still giving it that bright stone color. Honestly, looking at the other bridge from this angle, it looks pretty nice. I like that. And it kind of grows on me. It's one of those things you build and it grows on you the more you see it. I mean, this already looks a little better than that, I think, especially if you get it on the bright side. I think this looks better. But then walking across, I added some color variation. The top doesn't quite follow a shadow pattern. It's a little darker on this right side, but I mainly did color variation just to break up the monotonous andesite on the top, because technically this would all be andesite because it would all be really bright. But I think just having mud, wet areas, a lot of walking on this could add color variation as people are bringing debris on here. So I just did different colors. Cobblestone, tough, andesite. It's so tempting. But when you see the bridge from this angle, you actually don't see a lot of shadow on the backside. But this side you do, because the sun is going to be coming from this angle, and that's the perspective that I'm setting it up as. So this is really bright, and then this back corner is dark, and then you also get dark areas in the back corners under these smaller arches, but it's brighter right here. So I like how it turned out. It's a really simple design. I don't know if I said it, but this design is actually based off of a Roman bridge in Albania. So this is real architecture. This is the actual design Romans would use when they're creating bridges. I thought it'd be really cool to put real architecture into our Minecraft world, similarly to how I did that Iberian bridge over there. So these are real designs, well, inspired by real designs, and I put them in our Minecraft world. So I think it adds a level of realism while also giving us some much needed infrastructure. Because being able to cross over this ravine over the matter of like 2 seconds instead of having to go down on this river and then back up, man, that's just such a change of pace. That's so nice. And we may need more bridges further down there. Eventually. But as of now, I think these two bridges, one here to go to this is really the main continent, and that bridge over there also touches the main continent. But this gives us a nice pathway to go to Ashton's area, and this gives us a nice pathway to go to that other village and the savannah and more arid regions. I've been getting a lot of sand over here, so that's nice having a bridge to go get some sand. But let's check on how much bamboo we're getting from our bamboo farm. I AFK'd here a little bit while the trees were growing, and also I needed to smelt a little bit more deep slate for that cracked deep slate. So we have a bunch of cherry trees here, and that was for the base of the bridge. I'll get rid of this, but I kind of like the pink. I like the color it adds, and the ambiance with all the falling leaves, like chef's kiss. I really like that. The green leaf particles that they added on just the base leaves, I don't know if I'm just weird, but I don't like it. I really don't like these falling leaves. I like how the cherry trees had falling leaves, but it's like you have control over it. Only in the cherry biome do you have these falling leaves, and it kind of fits cherry blossoms, because in the spring, all these cherry blossoms are going to fall down. I don't like how you can't control these falling leaves. I think I can turn particles off if I do maybe minimal default. I don't know, but it's all encompassing. So I either, yeah, that turned these leaves off big time. But if I want to turn these leaves off, it also turns the cherry blossom leaves off. So I don't like it. I like just the basic leaves. Call me old school. I also don't like how when you go into the forest, there's just dead leaves everywhere. I thought that was a rat for half a second. They've just been spawning everywhere because of my villagers. But yeah, I don't like how there's just fallen leaves all over the ground. But this is how much bamboo we have, and that's a good bit of bamboo. A full chest, hopper, and then about a third of a chest here. So not too shabby. And it's kind of hard to see the building with all the trees here. But yeah, we got a bamboo farm, modest smelter, and 2 bridges built and textured today. So I think I'm going to call it quits for this episode. Let's see if you can see that other bridge from here. Yeah, you can see part of it. Nice. But I might end up putting a mountain or something in between these because the themes of these 2 bridges kind of collide. So I may put a barrier. But just to give a sneak peek for next episode, I think this entire area is going to look completely different by the end of next episode. I have big plans and lots of terraforming. So stay tuned for the next episode, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.